Everybody would like to know what's really happening in the world, and it's really not explainable in terms of what you see. All of the signs. In fact, the word atom in Latin means a smallest indivisible part. And when we got to the actual atom, it turns out, no, the atom is made up of parts. It's got protons, neutrons, electrons. And then when we dig deeper, it seems that it also has parts. It has quarks. And then as we dig deeper, that even the quarks are not even made up of parts. It's basically seems to be like a sound frequency. It's just a frequency of energy vibrating at different speeds. And this is like a giant musical orchestra. In fact, it's so interesting because atoms are held together to a certain extent by sound. And if the vibration, sometimes, I don't want to scare you, it's very, 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 very rare, but there were cars that drove over a bridge and they hit a certain frequency, and in fact it like tore apart the atomic connections and the whole bridge just like melted. So this whole universe, it's almost like a computer video game which is connected to whoever is creating it and is just making all the parts fit together and work. And once you understand that, you have to get to the next question of reality, which is that if this world is created, which we know scientifically, I mean, spiritually, the Kabbalah has taught us this, but we know scientifically this is a fact. They've analyzed if the world was a game and somebody was creating it, there'd be certain markers, and they found these markers. So scientifically, we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the entire world is designed by God, and it is continuously recreated by God every single second, as the Kabbalah told us thousands of years ago. It kind of pulsates in and out of existence, just like your screen comes in and out of existence. The light has to come there every second to make it happen again. And there's an information source telling you or telling the screen what to show, and you're the observer in the screen, and you kind of have a world that you're living in. So the obvious thing is that if this is made through somebody's conscious choice, then there's intention here. The world doesn't exist without intention. This, in fact, is one of the primary ideas of quantum physics, which is that our consciousness affects reality. And so therefore, if you want to change reality around, all you need to do is you have to say reality is not what you sense with your sight, taste, smell, and touch. That's just what you see and hear and smell, which is nothing. Even based on the electromagnetic spectrum, it's literally nothing. The frequencies are, bees will see in ultraviolet. There's X-ray. There's there are many other stuff that is going on that you don't see and you don't hear. Dogs will smell thousands of times better than human beings and hear much better, etc. And even bees can calculate distances to flowers better than supercomputers. That means mathematical abilities of certain animals are much better, not only than humans, than supercomputers. So what it is that you're living in is just a tiny spectrum, a tiny bandwidth which God created. So you should experience this reality. But reality, therefore, is not the reality that you're living in. That's the video game that you're living in. Ultimately, it boils down to consciousness. It boils down to the choice of love, effectively, that God has in you and in me and in everyone and in everything. And ultimately, once we understand this, because parents give birth to children not because they need them, but because they love them. And love is the consciousness. It is a frequency. Einstein wrote a letter which he said to only be revealed when the time is right, and his daughter kind of recently revealed it. And he said that the one thing that can save humanity, the one equation, which is more important than all those equations, is the equation of love. Because love is actually a force. It's a force of attraction. Now, there are two types of love. There's selfish love and selfless love. Selfless love is when what attracts me to you is the fact that I empathize, I identify, I see you as being wonderful and special, and I care about you. But in order to have selfless love, you actually have to have selfless love to ourselves. And this is a very, very big point, because this is where we get stuck, because everybody wants to love themselves, but many people are jealous. There's jealousy in this world because we all have an ego. The ego is just the desire to increase benefit to myself. Now, when I perceive that somebody else has a benefit and I feel that that is unfair because I should have an equal benefit that they should have, for example, if the child sees the dad is driving a car, they don't get upset. But if the son gets a car and let's say his sister doesn't get a car, she'll be very upset because he's equal to me, let's say in age and stage, and so why is that fair? and that jealousy is a destructive force. In Hebrew, the word for hate is sina, and the word for jealousy is kina. And they both have it in the word of which is similar to the word of annihilate. Because when we are angry, for example, if a mosquito's buzzing in my ear and I get upset with him, I'll try to kill him. Why do I want to kill him? Because I hate him. So the point is that hate has this desire to annihilate, whereas love has in it, ahava has in it the word have, to give. We wish to give to those that we love. Now again, there's two types of love. There's self-love, which is based on what we call the animal spirit within us. The animal spirit is basically what is giving me pleasure. And that can be an ego boost, that can be a chocolate, it can be something that gives me pleasure. So there's a love for that. Or it could even be safety. Maybe I love my boss because he gives me a sense of safety or something. I love my spouse, whatever that might be. But then there's the altruistic side, what we would call the God side to us, the spirit side. And that side loves because I see the greatness in you. But in order to see the greatness in someone else, you have to see the greatness in yourself. You cannot see greatness in others unless you see greatness in yourself. And that's really what makes Judaism unique. There was a Russian writer that wrote an amazing thing. He said, Judaism is the one literature that actually elevates man above all else. In all other philosophies and systems, basically man is a subject of the philosophy. I'm not trying to put anyone down. I have a lot of respect and love for everyone. But Christianity, in a certain sense, is telling you, you have to believe in someone, and that's the gateway to heaven. Islam certainly comes to the word submit. You have to submit to somebody's ideals, and that's the gateway to heaven. Never mind making other people submit. Then you have other ideas, and all of these ideas boil down to the same thing. If you do this, then you are worthy. But Judaism is the other way around. It says, no, God loves you because you are special. And because you are special, therefore, he's telling you how to accentuate your specialness, how to be, in Hebrew, in Am Kaddish, a special people. And that's really a very, very different description. I remember I was going from South Africa once, and there was this, it was actually, not that it matters, but a black guard, a woman. Many of the women are there, very wise. And she was asking me these questions. I was going from the airport. She's like, did you pack your bag? This and that. And I said to her, it's a pity you have to ask such questions. She said, yes, if people loved themselves more, we wouldn't have to ask these questions. That's a very profound statement. I lived in Africa for many years. I've seen people that would have been eaten, had a gun, at my head. I mean, the crime and the violence and the rape is disgusting what goes on there. But again, it boils down to a certain lack of self-respect. People that respect themselves respect other people. And this is really subconsciously what God has done through the Bible to us, is he says, listen, I place you at the pinnacle of reality. And other ideologies, which are really just seeking, let's say, self-indulgence, they like to say, oh no, we're just another form of an ape. They're saying that because they want to take away responsibility, take away dignity, so that other instinct, the animal instinct, which is a kind of at war with the God instinct within us, can create dominance. So once we understand this, that we're at a war between selfish and selfless love. We're at a war between self-respect and submitting to some ideology which is just using us for its purpose, not for our purpose. And fundamentally, the only system that truly gives the human being the true self-respect is the system of God in the Bible, which he says that I created the world for you, and I want you to be good, and I want you to make the world good, and have a great time in a great way, and make friends, make babies, make the world a wonderful place. That's what he says clearly in the Bible. That's what he told Adam and Eve. And we're all Adam and Eve. We all have this responsibility. We all have these abilities, and we're after thousands of years of trial and error. And anybody that thinks that these newfangled, crazy, woke ideas, which are just basically Russian disinformation and Arab disinformation to destroy the West within and to create hatred against Israel, anyone that thinks that these things are new, they've been tried and tested. Anti-Semitism, old as the day, they always die out. Gayness is, there are societies, well, you don't have children, you die out. All these ideas are foolish and ridiculous. They don't bring peace and happiness. They just bring self-destruction and annihilation of self, which to some extent there is a certain nihilism in many people that simply hate being alive, and they're adopting philosophies to self-destruct. But be that as it may, the world is not run by them. Life, it comes from that infinite source that we said is giving us, it's making us, the movies going on beyond us. It's consciousness that's creating us. It's not their consciousness, it's God's consciousness. And the more you, literally, I would recommend you listen to this video many times. They say that people need to hear something 1 to 10 times to believe it. Read and re-listen to this until you know that it's true. Because once you know that it's true, you'll be beyond the pettiness and the foolishness, because you'll be in a realm in which you matter, and which the choices that you make God happy. A parent loves to see their child succeed, and God's happiness creates greater blessing in the universe. Good luck, my friends.